Hi, my name is Chris Lyons. I'm a regional chef on the East Coast, and I'm coming to you today from the test kitchen here at home office. Today I'm going to demonstrate the fabrication of a chuck roll. The chuck roll is a great alternative to the inside round that we currently use within our communities for two basic reasons. One is that the yield is far superior to the inside round, as well as the flavor that you're going to get from this chuck roll is far superior than what we're going to get from the inside round. The chuck roll has two major muscles running through it. Right here on top is going to be the chuck eye, and then right below is going to be the chuck roll. The first step that we have to do with this is that we need to separate the two muscles because both of the two muscles have different grains running through them, and they run in different directions. So if we want to utilize this for stew meat or steaks, which is what we're going to do today, we need to make sure that we separate the two because it's gonna make for a more tender product later on. First step to separating these two muscles is to find this seam that runs along right here, and you can also see it coming through the backside. This needs to get separated, so the first step is to just start trying to peel back the muscle a little bit, and you're going to see that it's going to separate relatively easily by itself. And if you continue to follow this all the way along, it's going to connect all the way to the back. So here's the shoulder piece taken off, and to my left here in the ice bath is a chuck eye portion. What I'm going to do with this shoulder piece, because as you can see there's a little bit of fat on both sides, especially this side, because this is the side of it that actually gets connected to the rib part. So we're going to have to go ahead and just start trimming off some of these really hard pieces that are going to be inedible. But a great thing about this product is that it only has a little bit of fat on top of here, unlike that inside round that has that inch of cap on top. So the usable product with this is going to be far more than we're going to get from the inside round. So this is our piece after I've trimmed off a little bit of the fat. We don't have to go too much with the fat here because all this fat that you see is fat that's going to cook off while you're cooking it. So the next thing that we want to do to further break this down is that there's going to be basically two muscles here. One, if you can see the grains here, it's going to be real stringy here, and there's a muscle seam that comes through here and then comes around the back that we're going to try to cut out, just so that we're not trying to cut steaks or different pieces of meat with two different grains of the meat itself. So what we're going to just try to do is just try to feel the seam throughout here. Again, just like before, it was pretty easy to find, and you can also see it coming from this side. And that there's a seam that runs directly down through here, which is the same seam that we want to cut through right now. So now we have these two muscles broken off for it. So we're going to put this one into our ice bath, and we're going to try to work with this piece right here that's going to be real stringy. On this left side, you can see that this whole part of it right here is not really going to be usable for making steaks with us, but it's going to be great for making beef stew, for making anything that you would normally use within your community for beef scraps. And also, if you happen to have a meat grinder within your community, it makes great hamburgers. And again, you don't got to be precise here. You just want to get the bulk of this side of this meat that just doesn't look very presentable, but it's really tasty. And after all the pieces are cleaned out, we are left with this chuck eye that we took off originally when we started the project, and these are the 3 pieces that we took off of the shoulder blade. Again, all 3 of these pieces are going to be useful. This is the piece that we spoke about that we can go ahead and use for stew meat or grind for burgers if you have a grinder. And then both of these are actually going to be great to cut down and to make it at steaks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut steaks out of both of these 2 portions of meat. This is going to be the shoulder piece, so it's a little bit tricky here because you have the grains. So you don't want to be cutting steaks like this with the grain. You want to make sure that we're cutting all the steaks against the grain. So we got a large piece of meat here. What I like to do is just basically just cut right through it with the grain. And then we're going to end up doing the same thing with this whole piece of meat, but I'm going to put this over here for now. And all we really want to do is just take them and just cut a steak out. We're looking probably about 5 ounces per portion. And what we're going to do with these is that they're going to be cut against the grain, and we're actually going to take a meat mallet and we're going to pound them down to help try to break down some of these fibers. And then if anybody has a meat tenderizer in their communities, that's actually a great product to use to help tenderize these pieces of meat as well. Sometimes you're going to get some end pieces. Again, just like that piece that we worked with before, just throw it in the ice bath and it's going to be great for stew meat. So here's a chuck eye. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing that we did with the shoulder. We're just going to cut steaks a little bit differently because the grains are a little bit different in the shoulder than they are here in the eye. But the first thing we're going to do is just trim off a little bit of this excess fat. There's not much here in this chuck eye. But also here in the back side there's just a little bit of silver skin, and obviously nobody wants to eat the silver skin, so we're just going to pull some of that off. Again, the silver skin is not going to break down when you're cooking it, just like the other skin. Now I'll start that one. I guess we'll just keep going and you cut it out. Because the silver skin is known as elastin, and it's kind of like a rubber band. No matter how far you cook it, it's not going to break down. But all the other fat that you see here on this chuck roll is collagen, and collagen melts down when you cook it. So collagen is going to give fat, and elastin is just going to give you a mouthful of rubber bands. Alright, so after all that, silver skin is completed to take it off. It's a real thin piece of meat, so there's 2 options that what you can do with it. I like to cut thin steaks out of here, but you can also take this and cut it directly in half and then cut some thicker steaks, because what we're going to do is that we're still going to pound these just like we did the other ones, because it's still a relatively tough piece of meat. So it just depends on whatever your preference wants to be. If you want to pound it to a real thin steak, or if you want to take the whole product and cut it in half, and then you're able to cut some bigger steaks out of it. So then when you pound them, they're not going to be quite as thin. That option is all yours. So after all these steaks are cut from this chuck roll, what we're going to try to go ahead and do and pound all of them out. Always want to put a little bit of plastic wrap on top of the steaks, because it's going to, one, it's going to keep it from sticking to your mallet, and 2, it's going to keep it from splashing onto you. So you want to try to pound them into nice 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch steaks. Alright, so now that we have all of our steaks pounded, or portioned, pounded, and ready to go into a marinade, you should get a yield of about 60 to 65 steaks from this truck roll. And these are all going to be usable portions for either a first choice or a second choice within your community. And then we also have the other end pieces, some smaller flaps, some different things that were not appropriate size for our steaks, but they're still a great product for stews, beef stroganoffs, things like that don't require a good presentable piece of meat, but it's going to require something that's going to be tender and flavorful for a nice stew. The recipe that I'm going to use to marinate these steaks today is recipe number 11392. It's an Asian inspired marinade that's great for beef, and it's also great for chicken. So here's what's in it. It's going to be 1 whole bunch of cilantro. It's going to be 5 cloves of chopped garlic. It is 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. It is another 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. 2 tablespoons of fresh lemongrass. It is 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. This is 2 cups of soy sauce. And lastly, it's another 2 cups of any kind of oil you want, preferably probably a canola or just a vegetable oil. And then we just mix it all together and we're ready to marinate the steaks. So after we finish putting all these steaks into our marinade, we want to go ahead and toss them together a little bit. And what you're going to want to do with them is you're going to want to put them all into a large Cambro and put them into your walk-in. Because you're going to want these things to marinate here for a couple days to let that marinade really soak into the meat. I'm Chris Lyons, and I would like to thank you for watching these videos, and I really hope that they help you in your communities.